Story 42. My wife caught my mother cheating on my dad. I, 27 male, married my wife Carrie, 26 female, after dating for 3 fantastic years. Carrie is the love of my life, and she's always been close to my parents and sister. About 2 years ago, our lives changed forever. My dad, 46, works a blue-collar job as a senior electrician for a company that caters to the tech industry. Although he isn't by any means rich, my dad brings home good money and has an amazing retirement plan. My dad dotes on my mom, spending time with her when he can. He has done a lot of OT in the last few years but makes a habit of not working more than 12 hours a day and caps his work week at 50 hours. My mother, 45, works a part-time retail job to keep herself busy during the day, but it's only about 15 hours a week total. This gives her a lot of spare time to get into trouble. One weekend a couple of weeks ago, Carrie went over to my parents' house in the middle of the day to drop off a gift from us for my dad's birthday since we had out-of-town plans that week. When Carrie arrived, there was a car parked at the curb. My mother's car was in the driveway. She goes to the door, but it's locked. My dad had installed electronic deadbolts that used a numbered passcode that we all had. Carrie punches in the code and opens the door to see some guy pulling out of my mom, who was on all fours in the living room. Both were completely naked, and the guy made a grab for his clothes, put them on, and ran out of the house. During the time he's doing this, Carrie says my mother was yelling at her about coming into the house without permission and trying to cover herself with pillows. Carrie apparently started crying and walked back out of the house, got in her car, and drove home to see me. I work remotely, so when my wife bursts in the door bawling so hard, it is difficult to understand what she's saying. Eventually, she calmed down and explained that she had walked into my parents' house and caught my mother in the act of intercourse with some strange man. I was stunned. About that time, my mom called my phone. I answered it without really thinking about it, and she started babbling about Carrie and wanted to know if she was there. I calmly told her, yes, she's here. She just told me what happened. My mom was freaking out, saying that Carrie didn't understand what was going on and that the guy at the house was there to give her a massage. Since my phone was on speaker, Carrie's face turned red, and she yelled at the phone in my hand. Yeah, right. With both of you naked and his penis in you? Mom and Carrie started screaming at each other, and I just ended up hanging up on her. It took me a few minutes to get my head on straight before I called my dad. The phone rang through to voicemail quickly, so I'm assuming my mom was already on a call with him. I decided to just text my dad. Carrie caught mom cheating with some guy at your house. Call me. About 1 minute later, my dad called. When I answered, he was upset but sounded confused, so Carrie picked up the story and told him in detail what happened. Needless to say, Dad told me that Mom had called him and started making some strange story. She claimed a masseuse was at the house, and Carrie assumed it was an affair. Carrie, still furious, told him flat out that the masseuse was using his penis while both were naked with him mounted on her. Dad was quiet and then said he'd contact us later and hung up. Over the next couple of days, I spoke to my dad a couple of times while avoiding my mom's calls. My sister called me, and Carrie had to correct the story again. My sister was bawling the entire time Carrie was talking. A few days later, Dad told me that he had gone through all their credit card history and had even taken my mom's phone from her forcefully. He'd known her password for a while and was able to confirm that she had been regularly cheating on him for at least the last year. The boyfriend is a former coworker that she knows from the last place she worked before taking the part-time retail job. Dad even told me that Mom had a pregnancy scare about 6 months ago. Dad called it a scare because he's been snipped since the birth of my sister. Apparently, it turned out that Mom was not pregnant from the text history. My sister hasn't been able to walk away from Mom, but I have broken all contact with her, even to this day. After some nasty things she said about Carrie, cheating on my dad and lying to everyone about it, I'd had enough. My dad was destroyed. He's currently staying with my aunt and uncle and has opted for divorce. This is an at-fault state, so Mom's cheating cost her dearly during the divorce. Dad ended up selling and splitting the money for the house and all bank accounts, but did not end up losing any of his 401k or pension and did not have to pay alimony. Mom lost out on the bank money since it included her own personal savings. Dad paid for everything, and my mom banked most of her pay for the last couple of decades. Dad got half of that. It's been a couple of years since the incident, and we are still no contact with my mom. She said some terrible things to my wife, so that relationship was also destroyed. Carrie and I had our son about a year ago, and she's currently ready to pop with our daughter sometime in the next few weeks. Mom heard from my sister that she's a grandmother. She's been trying to reach out to me, but I'm staying no contact for the foreseeable future. I can't and won't have her in my life again. I know this seems harsh, but Dad was the most dedicated and devoted husband anyone could have wanted. I have no clue what my mom was thinking, but that break in trust just floored my dad. He ended up with depression and a drinking habit that took him more than a year to get over. My uncle told me a couple of months ago that Dad had started dating recently and it seems to be going well. I'm hoping all the best for him. He's been an amazing grandfather, and we see him as much as our schedules allow. My sister said Mom and the AP hadn't seen each other since D-Day, and Mom isn't dating, but who knows? The fact that she threw away decades of marriage, love, and trust with my dad and our family makes me so angry that I have no intention of letting her off the hook. My remaining family and the new additions give me a lot of comfort. I hope my dad's new girlfriend is as amazing as he is.
I only post new and unique content. Please like and subscribe.